This program, Sunday and Monday, are really a great example of what I strive for in a program. The most important thing to me is to place each piece on a program in a way that it maximizes the impact of that piece and to try and avoid any kind of clash between the pieces on a program. So here we start with Mozart's wonderful Piano Wind Quintet for oboe, clarinet, bassoon, horn, and piano. Mozart was a great composer for winds. He wrote a lot of music for winds. He wrote serenades. Nearly all of the piano concerti have massive wind elements in them. And this is a great example of chamber music, piano, and a wind quartet. It's a wonderfully classical piece with a slow introduction, an allegro first movement, a beautiful slow movement, and a rousing finale. One of the most interesting things about the finale is that just before the end of it, he actually writes out what would be a cadenza, not for the piano, but for all of the wind instruments. This is very unusual. The piece is in E flat. It's exuberant. It's light. It's brilliant. It's not taxing emotionally, and this is very important for the program because the second piece before intermission is the 8th string quartet of Shostakovich. He wrote in the end 15 string quartets. Number 8 is probably the most played and the most popular of them. Popular is a little bit of a strange word to use for this piece because it is intensely demanding on the emotional side of the audience. And in this program, it's very important to me because starting with the Mozart, as I said, which is not that taxing, it leaves room and energy in the audience to really dive into this Shostakovich string quartet, which is extremely powerful, relentless, and very demanding on the audience. You can't listen to this without paying attention. The circumstances were quite extraordinary. Shostakovich went to Dresden in what was then East Germany and was supposed to be working on a film score. When he saw the city, and this was 1960, so 15 years after the war, it was still rubble and a terrible mess. And this struck him in such a powerful way, probably combined with his circumstance having just been named the head of the Soviet Composers Union, forced to join the Communist Party, and in the full realization of what it meant to live under a communist dictatorship. He couldn't work on the film and instead sat down and in the space of 3 days wrote this quartet. If you consider the intensity of the emotional outpouring and think about the fact that this took place over really 3 days, It's great evidence for the flow of creativity and the place in Shostakovich that was hit by these circumstances in such a way that this music poured out. It's full of quotes from his own pieces. He quotes symphonies, the First Symphony, the Fifth Symphony, the 11th. He quotes his cello concerto. And he uses a device which he's often used, which many composers have used, and that is taking the letters of his name and translating them into musical notes. So S in German is E flat, C is a C, H is a B, and he uses this as a motif in the piece. It's relentless, it's powerful, and has great impact. So what to put after intermission? In my thinking, I wanted to change instruments. So we start with Piano and Winds for Mozart. We then go to just a string quartet. And after intermission, we've placed the Schumann Piano Quintet. This is one of the greatest chamber music works altogether, certainly Schumann's greatest, and the first of several prominent piano quintets that came afterwards: Brahms, Dvorak, César Franck, etc. The Schumann is perfection. It has a wonderful first movement. It has a very touching and memorable slow movement, which is really a funeral march. It has one of the great scherzos of all time, incredibly virtuosic for the piano and the strings, very fast, very exciting. A last movement full of contrapuntal elements, leading to a fantastic coda and finale. And again, this is music which is engaging, but not demanding in the way that the Shostakovich is, and will leave the audience exuberant and fully uplifted as they leave the hall.